So today we're going to learn how to read and write expressions. Specifically, I want you to learn how to write an expression to match a set of words. So if I were to give you a group of words, could you translate that into a mathematical expression that just has only numbers and symbols? I want you to start by copying some notes. Behind me I have some words that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Some of these are very easy and you know them already. If you're sure that you understand what they mean, you don't have to write them. But I do want you to make yourself a little chart in your notes and copy down all the words that mean addition, such as altogether, total, more than, increased or increased by, plus, add. Again, some of these are easy. You probably already know when you see to add that means addition. Do the same thing for subtraction, multiplication, and division. I'm going to read them over, and then you can pause the video and make sure you finish them up. Words that mean to subtract. If you see the words less than, are left, reduced, fewer, decreased, or the obvious ones, subtract or minus, those all mean to subtract. You're going to use a subtraction sign when writing your expression. Words that mean multiply, obviously multiply, times, of, product. If you see the product of two numbers, that means multiply. And lastly, division. Words that tell you you're going to use a division symbol. Broken apart, cut up, separated, shared equally, or you might see the word quotient. Make sure you pause the video and complete this chart in your notes. So what I have here is I have three different word expressions or word sentences, and I want to try to translate them into a mathematical sentence with just numbers and symbols. So look at the first one here. The number of jelly beans divided into 9 piles. If I want to write a numerical expression to match that, I'm going to look for keywords. Well, I know I've got 9. I know I'm going to use 9. That's an easy part. A key word here is divided. That's easy. That's going to be the division symbol. And then we've got the number of jelly beans. And that's what we don't know. It doesn't tell us how many jelly beans there are. So that's when we're going to use a variable. I'm going to pick J to represent the number of jelly beans. So this would look like, order is important here, the number of jelly beans is being divided into 9 piles. This is a numerical expression to match that sentence. Now, in algebra, we no longer use a division symbol. So I want you to take note of something else. If you have to show division, I want you to use a fraction bar. J divided by 9 looks like this. J over 9. And order is important, so whatever the dividend, the number you're dividing by, goes on the top. Okay, so J divided by 9. J over 9. So I would like you to use this method. Make sure you're taking notes. Write down the sentence and write down the mathematical sentence that matches it. And we're not solving these, guys. We're just learning how to write an expression that would match a group of words, a word sentence. Let's take a look at another one. The morning temperature increased by 16 degrees. Well, first of all, I see, obviously I'm going to use the number 16 here. I'm looking for keywords and I see increased by. On our chart, you have increased under addition. Increased by means add. And then we've got the morning temperature. It doesn't tell us the morning temperature, so that's when we're going to use a variable. I'm going to pick a variable because it doesn't tell me the morning temperature. I'm going to pick T for temperature. Okay? So the morning temperature increased by 16 degrees would look like T. Notice I'm using kind of a T with a tail so I don't get it confused with a plus sign. Plus 16. The morning temperature increased by 16 degrees. Now with addition, order isn't important because T plus 16 is the same as 16 plus T. 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2, right? So with addition, order isn't important. I could have written this as 16 plus t, and that means the exact same thing. Okay, let's look at one that is a little bit harder. 7 points less than yesterday's score. Okay, well, I've got this 7. That's an easy part, 7. I've got the word less than. If you look at your chart, less than means subtract. So I know I'm going to subtract. Yesterday's score, I don't know yesterday's score. That's my unknown. So that's my variable. I'm going to use S for score. And the tricky part here is with subtraction, order is important. As you know, 5 minus 3 is not the same thing as 3 minus 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. 3 minus 5 will give me negative 2. So I have to be careful when I'm using subtraction to put the numbers in the right order. When you see the words less than, okay, so we've got two choices here. Is it 7 minus S, or is this S minus 7? Think about it. What makes more sense? Is it 7 points less than yesterday's score? Are we subtracting yesterday's score from 7? Or are we subtracting 7 from yesterday's score? If you just read it, it makes sense. 7 points less than yesterday's score means that 7 is being subtracted from yesterday's score. So this is not the right order. This is the right order, S minus 7. I'm going to try to explain this. So when you see the word less than, only the words less than, you're going to turn everything around. Whatever comes before the word less than, whatever number or value, actually goes after the minus sign. And whatever comes after the word less than goes before the minus sign. And just the more you do, the better you get. The more you do, the easier these become. So less than means subtract, but you turn everything around. 7 points less than yesterday's score looks like this. Write that down. Make sure you take note. When you see the words less than, watch out. That's when the order changes a little bit. I want to give you a few more examples. The product of 11 and a number. Look at number 1. Make sure you're writing these down. Well, we know that product means times, and then we've got 11 and a number. A number, I don't know what that number is, so I'm going to use a variable. I'm going to use n. You can pick any variables you want, by the way, any letters you want. To show 11 times n, you might start to write it like this, but that is not okay anymore in algebra. Technically, using that little x, that's a variable. That's the letter x. This could be read by an algebra student as 11 times x times n. And we're just trying to show 11 times n. So there's a couple ways I want you to do this. In an acceptable way, you could put 11 dot n. That would be acceptable. You could put 11 and parentheses n. Those both mean times. But there is the best way. The best way is to simply put the number in front of the variable. Just showing 11n is the best way to show the product of 11 and a number. 11n, that means 11 times n. So I would like you to try to remember to write it this way. The number comes in front of the variable, and that means multiply. By the way, with multiplication, order is not important. 11 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 11. But we do put the number in front of the letter in algebra. Take a look at the number 2. The quotient of a number and 5. Quotient means divide, right? A number, there's n, 5, okay? So now I have to decide, okay, is it n divided by 5 or is it 5 divided by n? Division's a little bit easier. Whatever comes first in the sentence, in the word sentence, goes first. That's a dividend. The next number is a divisor. And then the answer is the quotient. So this looks like this. The quotient of a number and 5, that means n divided by 5. But remember, I told you to use a fraction bar. So the best way to show this is n over 5. That is the best way to show n divided by 5. The quotient of a number and 5. looks like that. You just go in order, no turning around or flipping things around. With division, you have to put whatever comes first on the top, and the second number goes on the bottom. The difference of 56 and a number. Okay, so we've got 56, and we've got a number, we'll call that n. What does difference mean? Look back at your chart. Subtract. So we're going to use the subtraction symbol. With most subtraction sentences, we just go in order, the same way as division. So the difference of 56 and the number looks like this. 56 minus n. Whatever comes first in the sentence comes first in your mathematical sentence or your expression. Division and subtraction, just make sure you go in order. Whatever you see first goes first. Whatever comes second goes second after the division or the minus sign. Addition, order isn't important. That only tricky thing is less than. When you see less than, that's when everything flips around. Let's look at one more. A number increased by 78. Okay, we've got a number, that's n. Increased by, that's addition. And then obviously 78. This is addition, so I don't even have to worry about order. This is simply n plus 78. If your neighbor were to write 78 plus n, you would both be absolutely correct. Because order is not important with addition. It's not important with multiplication. It is important with subtraction and division. I want to give you a chance to try some. Try these 3 problems for me. I want you to change them to mathematical expression. Kind of hard to read. Let me make them a little bit bigger. Pause the video. Try them. Been able to read them. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Unpause when you finish and we'll go over them. Alright, 3 times n. That would simply look like 3n. That's the best way to show that. If you wrote 3 dot n, that's okay. If you wrote 3 parentheses n, that's okay. If you wrote 3x n, please don't do that, okay? The x is not the times symbol anymore. It's a variable. What about number 2? 5 less than m. Did you remember? When you see less than, everything gets switched around. This is m minus 5. Did you get it right? If you wrote 5 minus m, you need to turn it around. Less than means 5 is being subtracted from m. 5 less than m. 5 subtracted from m. Everything turns around. And the last one, the quotient of 5 and h, is written like this. 5 divided by h. Now, if you wrote 5 divided by h, I would accept that. This is a better algebraic way to write it. All right, this is a pretty hard concept. We'll practice some more tomorrow. Make sure you bring all your notes, and I will see you then.